Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Check out the link below, fool.com/The Smattering, to get access to the 10 best stocks to buy right now. On March 21st, I made a decision to sell my shares of Coinbase. Since then, I've looked like an absolute genius. The stock has started coming back down to earth. The company got a Wells notice, and we'll talk about what that means. But I didn't sell for any of the reasons why the stock has necessarily fallen. I'm Jason Hall. This is The Smattering. I've got my good friend Jeff Santoro here, and we're going to talk about the reason I decided to sell Coinbase. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jason, this was interesting to me because just a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, you were singing the praises of Coinbase and telling me what a bright future you thought that the company had. So I'm dying to hear why you changed your mind and decided to sell your shares.
You know, one of the interesting things about this is it's one of those reminders. Sometimes two things that don't seem like they can both be true are both true. And the reality is I still generally believe that Coinbase does have a really bright future. But I also believe that it was time for me to step away from the stock because there are a number of uncertainties and risks that could cause it to take longer for the company to begin generating positive results from the things that I think are so great about it.
So that's interesting because sometimes when we sell a stock, we think we walk away from it forever. But what you're saying is you sold it, but you're going to still keep an eye on it and make it back in at some point.
Yeah. So let me talk about my thesis for Coinbase, first of all, and the thesis that I still think is largely true. So Coinbase has a ton of cash that it's generated and has generally been a really profitable business up until the past year from trading fees for people trading cryptocurrencies. It's been a wonderful cash cow business. Now, that's not my thesis for the long term for cryptocurrency and for Coinbase in particular. I don't think it's going to be people trading the latest whatever coin. I don't think that's going to be the thing that creates economic value. I think the thing that's going to create economic value is the blockchain technology being used for things involving chain of custody, where it can drive out costs, make things more accessible, make things happen easier that have been challenging for a long time. Example I've used 100 times before, and our friend Jacob Goldstein from the What's Your Problem podcast used it with us, is things like using the blockchain for titles for property, for real estate, instead of everybody having to buy title insurance to make sure you have a clean title, right? It's 2023. There are technologies that exist using the blockchain that can break down these legacy providers of service that sit in between parties and just kind of collect a piece of money from the actual sources of economic creativity. Here's the problem. What they're building, Jeff, is largely a cost center. They're spending a lot of money to build out this platform to allow builders to create the tools that can overlay on the crypto assets that can be the thing that creates the economic progress. And I'm just not sure how long it's going to take for that part of the business to really kick off.
So that does sound a lot like the way you laid out your case a month or so ago. So what changed your mind and what made you sell the shares this week in particular?
So if you look at everything that's happened in the banking sector with Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and how that's carried over to other banks, we've seen depositors absolutely flee out of fear that they were going to lose deposits that weren't insured. So they pulled their money out of those banks and moved it to other perceived safer institutions. The same time that happened, from March 10th, when Silicon Valley Bank was taken over by the FDIC, to March 21st, the day that I decided to sell, Coinbase stock was up 57%, something you and I've talked about. Basically, every other crypto asset on the planet was up over that same period substantially as well, because of the whole Bitcoin fixes this idea. The idea that this is going to be the thing that's going to free the world's financial system, people from the world's financial system. And it got me just thinking that this is way ahead of itself. I made these investments, and I'm not so sure that the market's not getting way ahead of itself again. And I think now is a time for me to step back, exit my position, and let business normalize for the company, really get an idea of what its cash flows are. And it could look like a mistake. The reality is that it could, 3 or 4 years from now, all of those things could take off, Jeff, and the stock could be triple what it is today, and it could look like a mistake. but I'm willing to take that risk because those things may not work out. The company may burn through a tremendous amount of cash and it may struggle. And I'm willing to take the chance of walking away from future profits in this state of uncertainty to let the business really stabilize and become what it's really going to be.